Hey everyone, it's Ben with Inside Look at Packaging. And in today's video, we're going to be looking at the main things you need when you're looking to request a quote on a specific packaging component. Now, if you've been following the channel, the last video that we put out is going to be kind of part one of a series of walking through from finding the supplier vendor to now quoting the particular item. And then we're going to talk about, in the next video, we're going to be talking about kind of the supply chain and some of the things you should think about from that point of view. But in today's video, we're talking about quotes. In the first kind of part of this series, we talked about finding a supplier vendor. Now, if you missed that video, please go back, and I'll add it right above here. But please go back and watch that so that you're kind of caught up to the progress and the process that we're going through. Now, so you finally got in contact with a supplier vendor that you think might be perfect for your package. Now, what do you do then? You've had conversations with them, you know, okay, they offer what I'm looking for, and now let's walk through to the next steps. Now, that's going to be getting a quote. Some companies will request a specific document called an RFQ, or request for quote. Now, if they send you that, that's great, because it gives you, and it'll walk through all the different parts that they need to know in order to give you a proper quote. But sometimes in just a phone call conversation or through email, or maybe you're on a tight timeline, the supplier will just ask, hey, what do you need? And I'll quote it. Let's go into the 4 things that you need to have ready to request a quote from your supplier vendor. A little disclaimer, the 4 things we're going to be going over are definitely not the only things that you need. There's a lot of different parts, and of course, if it's a custom item or it's custom print and things like that, there's going to be more steps to this. But the general 4 that I'm going to be going over will give you a good starting point for most packaging materials. This could be labels, this could be film, this could be flexible packaging. So all of those different things, these 4 are going to work across all of those. So let's jump in. Number 1 is going to be our dimensions. Now, here's some examples. If I have a box, I'm going to give the supplier dimensions, length, width, depth, as we've talked about in past videos. If it's film, remember we looked at how to size the film. We're looking at the width of the roll. So we're going to give them that dimension. All of those things within packaging is going to use dimensions. So make sure you have dimensions. That's number 1. Let's jump to number 2, and that is going to be either a particular stock item details or something that you've been talking about with the supplier, basically just the details about the item. If it's a stock item, it might already be in their catalog or on their website, and it makes it really easy. Now, if it's an item that's maybe custom or something that they don't just offer all the time, but they can still manufacture, we're gonna have to give them details of kind of what we're gonna be using it for. If it's food, is it gonna be frozen? Is it gonna be, thawed in there, cooked in there? All these kind of details, how we're gonna use it. That's number 2. We're gonna kind of need to know the use, as well as if it's a particular item that the supplier offers. Now, number 3 is gonna be kind of a big one, and that is gonna be quantity. Packaging seems to be one of those things that gets overused, underused, thrown, used for something else. And so it can be a little bit hard when it comes to quantity to exactly what we're going to need. But this is going to be a big piece in getting the quote. If you know your quantity and you have an order in place, great. That's just easy. Give it to them and get it going. But if you don't know the quantity, one thing that you can do is kind of have them work backwards by giving them the price point that you want. What I do is I say, here's the cost, how many would I need to order to hit that cost? So again, number 3 is gonna be quantity. And you can use that little trick if you already know what cost you need and you need a quantity. And number 4 is gonna be our usage moving forward. So with packaging, especially with the long lead times that we have, especially here in 2021, lead times on materials and kind of our raw materials, if it's paper, if it's plastic, it's really hard to be able to turn on a dime. And so what the supplier is going to be asking is kind of looking to the future. And so we've talked about in other videos how to stay ahead of shortages, and that is with forecasts. But point number 4 is going to be kind of monthly usage moving forward. So sometimes packaging suppliers will give you a quote based on your annual usage, and that would be for the whole year. And so if it's something custom, or maybe the supplier runs just a large amount all at one time, they're going to be looking at, okay, forget about your single orders of 10 or 20. How many are going to run for the whole year? And then you can kind of get your pricing based off of that. Now, to review the 4 things that we need to know in order to go forward and request a quote from a supplier vendor, in review, we have number 1, and that's going to be dimensions of the particular packaging component. Number 2 is going to be kind of the usage as well as the particular item. Number 3 is going to be our quantity. And again, the little trick, you can use a known price point to find quantity. And of course, number 4 is going to be our usage moving forward. So that's our monthly usage, our annual usage, and that will help the supplier vendor to give you the best possible price for that particular item. Now, I hope you're able to find those 4 things helpful in kind of guiding you through basics of looking to get a quote from a supplier vendor. This little series is to point us in the right direction with finding new packaging and, of course, getting our quotes from our supplier vendors. So, appreciate you watching. Make sure that you're subscribed and click the like button if you found this valuable and this information helpful. And make sure if you have any thoughts about these 4, maybe you have some different ones, let me know in the comments below and we'll kind of get a discussion going. Otherwise, we'll catch you in the next video. Thanks.